Right, in today's lesson, the first thing we're going to learn about is angles, types of angles. An angle is the space between two lines that meet. So let's say we have a line here and a line here. Now we see that the lines meet right here. Now an angle is how big this area is right here. That's what an angle is. The space between the two lines, this space right here, is called the angle. Now, there are different types of lines we also need to talk about. In that, the first one is a ray. A ray is the part of a line that has an endpoint and continues on forever in one direction. So, let's say the ray starts right here. This is the endpoint. This is either where it starts or ends, and it keeps going. It can go on forever and ever and ever, and how we show you that it goes on forever is we put an arrow there. That means that it starts here and goes on forever and ever and ever. That's a ray. The other one we want to talk about is a line segment. That's where we have a line that has two endpoints. We have an endpoint right here, the line goes, and we have an endpoint right here. Right? It starts here and ends here, or it starts here and ends here. It does not go on forever like a ray does. This is a line segment. It actually has a beginning and an end. Now, when we put these together, we get angles. So, if we have a ray, which has an endpoint right here and goes on forever, and we have another ray coming off of it, again, in the middle here, this is the angle. And we have three types of angles we're going to talk about. First one we're going to talk about is a right angle. A right angle is where we can make a square with the middle, where the corner is. So here's the corner, and because this is a right angle, we can make a square right there. So again, a square with its four lines. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We made a square with the corner of the angle. The only angle we can do that are right angles. So again, that's a right angle. Another type of angle is called an acute angle. An acute angle is where we take the line segments or the rays of the angle and move them closer together than a right angle. So if we take this line segment and move it down a little bit, this area got smaller than it was here. See how it's not as far apart as it is right here. This is called an acute angle, which means the angle is smaller than 90 degrees. And as you can see, we cannot make a square. This shape right here is not a square, so we know that it's not a right angle, and again, since it's smaller, it's called an acute angle. Now, here's another right angle I'll draw for you. Again, we know it's a right angle because we can make a square. Now, if the line segments move away from each other, this area in the middle gets bigger. So it'll look like this. So we can see that they moved away from each other. This was 90 degrees, and this area got bigger, which makes it obtuse. So we have our three types of angles. We have the right angle, which means that you can make a square with the corner. We have an acute angle, which means that it's smaller. The space between the lines is smaller than 90 degrees. And we have an obtuse angle, which means the space between the lines is larger than a right angle. And again, when you look at obtuse, we try to make a square here, it can't be done. That's not a square. The only time we can make a square is with a right angle. So we have a right angle, an acute angle, and an obtuse angle. Now, if you open your book to page 297, you will see these. We're going to look at these angles down here, V, W, X, Y, and Z. These are angles that we're going to be looking at. And we're going to answer these questions right here. So, which of these angles are right angles? Remember, a right angle means that you can make a square in the corner. Which of these angles can you make a square with? If we look at the corners, can we make a square here, 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 or here? The only one that we can make a square with is W. So we put W for our answer for number 1. Number 2 says which of the angles are smaller than a right angle? So we're going to look at the corners. Is that one smaller? We've already used this one, so we can mark it out. Is this corner smaller? Is this one smaller, or is this one smaller? The two that I see that have smaller angles are X and Y. So we put X and Y. And make sure you're writing these answers down in your book. Now the last one says which of these angles are larger than a right angle? Well, we've already used X and Y. Now let's check the ones that we have left. Is this corner larger than a 90-degree angle? And is this corner larger than a 90-degree angle? They both are. So which ones are larger is V and Z. So that's what you should have in your book. Now, if you turn your page, you will see this on page 298. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to describe triangles by types of angles. So we just learned about angles. We learned about right angles, acute angles, and obtuse angles. So now we're going to look at triangles. So, triangles can be described by these types of angles that we have. In these triangles, one angle is a right angle. So as you can see in a triangle, we have 3 angles. 1, 2, 3. As long as one of those angles is a right angle, it's called a right triangle. So look there. We have the right angle right there because we can make a square. Right there because we can make a square. Right there. And right there. So all 4 of these triangles are called right triangles because they have a right angle. If we look at the next one, these triangles, all 3 angles are smaller than a right triangle. So again, these are right triangles. If we look at all 3 angles, every single angle on these triangles is smaller than 90 degrees. We would not be able to draw a square in any of these angles because they are too small. They are closer together. So these triangles are called acute triangles. And the last one that we look at here, these triangles, one angle is larger than a right angle. So again, just like the right triangles, only one angle has to be a right angle for it to be a right triangle. Only one. For it to be an obtuse triangle, only one angle has to be greater. So if we look here, this angle is greater than 90 degrees. This angle is greater than 90 degrees. This angle is greater than 90 degrees, and this angle is greater than 90 degrees. The other angles are acute angles, but all we need is one to make it an obtuse triangle. Now look at the bottom of your page, and we're going to answer these 3 questions. We have 3 triangles here. We have K, L, and M. Which triangle has a right angle? Does K have a right angle? Can we make a square with any of these angles? Does L have a right angle, or does M have a right angle? And you can see here, this one has a square, so our answer is M. Number 5 says, which triangle has all three angles smaller than a right angle? Are all three angles smaller here, or are all three angles smaller here? This angle is really big, and it looks bigger than a right angle, so that means it can't be smaller. But all three of these are smaller than a right angle. They're closer together. So K is our answer for number 5. And let's check the last one. Which angle has one angle larger than a right angle? Well, this is a right angle, and this one is clearly larger. These lines are further apart than these two lines, so that means that is obtuse. So L is our answer for number 6. All right, the last thing we're going to learn today is we're going to describe triangles by the number of sides of equal length. So we all know triangles have 3 sides. So every triangle ever has 3 sides, or else it's not called a triangle. 3 sides. Now, what we can do is look at the lengths. It says in these triangles, the 3 sides are all equal length. That means each side of the triangle is exactly the same length. Now, in these triangles, only 2 sides are equal length. So if we look at it, we can see that this side and this side are the same length, but this side is longer. Same thing on this one. This side and this side are equal lengths, but this side is shorter. So sometimes triangles only have 2 sides that have the same side, unlike these triangles where all 3 sides were the exact same length. And we'll show you on this one too. This side and this side are the same length, but this side is different. And the last type of triangle we're looking at is this types of triangles where no sides are the same length. So if we look at these, this side is the longest side. This side is not the same length, and neither is this side. So all the sides are different lengths. If I measured them, none of the sides would be the same. So we have triangles that have all 3 sides that are the same. We have triangles that only have 2 sides that are the same. And we also have triangles where no sides are the same length. So now we're going to look at the bottom of the page and answer these 3 questions. Which triangle has 3 sides of equal length? So B, C, and D. Which one of these triangles has all 3 sides the exact same length? Well, if we look at D here, this one's really, really short, and these are long, so those aren't the same length. And if you look at B, this one's pretty short, while these are really long. But C, they are all the same, so C. Now let's look at 8. Which triangle has 2 sides of the same length? So we answered C. If we look at D, they said this one's really short and the other 2 look about the same. B has a really short one, and then as you can see, the tip of this triangle kind of goes off to the side, which makes this side really long and this side not quite as long. So D is your answer for that one. It has 2 sides that are the same length, and this one is just a little bit different, which makes this one, which triangle has no sides that are of equal length, is B. All 3 of these sides are, if we got a ruler out and measured them, are of different lengths.